Hi there, and welcome to this channel. I'm super excited to tell you about Atasca Woods. This is one of my favorite neighborhoods that is near the airport because I live here. So I know all about it, and I can't wait to show you around. So first, let's just take a look at a map and get acquainted with some things in this area. So here is Atasca Woods here. And we came in on Will Clayton in the video, which then goes and tees into Westlake Houston. And Atasca Woods is just right here, kind of in that corner. Okay, so here is our neighborhood here. Let's zoom out a little bit. You'll see that Will Clayton comes in and tees into Westlake Houston. And Westlake Houston runs along the west side of the lake, all the way from the south, all the way up into Kingwood. Then if we zoom in a little bit, let's see. The first thing that we're going to see here is the elementary school. And here's Atasca Woods, and you just cross over into Atascocita South, and there is Timbers Elementary School. And then if you were to continue on down Lonesome Woods, which also tees into Westlake Houston, then there is Atascocita Middle School. And then, look, we're getting all three of the schools in the frame. Here's the high school. They are all very, very close, and they are all walkable from this neighborhood, which is really cool. Now, another thing that we have a lot of access to is gyms. So here's Lifetime Fitness. It's right next to Atascocita High School. And then we also have a brand new EOS Fitness that's going in over here. Hot Works there. Crunch Fitness up here on 1960, which is
My favorite gym is Lifetime Fitness Lake Houston, but it's not your regular old gym. It's more like a country club. My favorite parts are the two indoor pools, the outdoor pool area, which is more like a resort, and the pickleball courts.
so just a whole lot of access to gyms. Now, the other thing that we have a lot of is restaurants, which is really cool. So first of all, let me just show you a few of my favorites. There's a restaurant over here on the east side of the lake that you can sit outside on the lake, which I love. And then just right outside of our neighborhood is Naratai, which is one of my favorite places. Iguana Joe's, which is Tex-Mex, and it's fun because they have an outside kids area, so you can have a margarita while your kids play, which is amazing. Java Man Coffee, one of my favorites, but my goodness, you have got a ton of coffee spots around here, including Dutch Bros and Starbucks, so any kind of coffee you could possibly want. But you'll see that there are just a ton of restaurants and fast food in the area. The other thing that we have a lot of, which is really cool, is parks. And I'll link some of the videos for some of my favorite parks, like Atascocita Park is a really cool park. But you can see all of the different parks in this area. They are everywhere. And there is a huge park down here on the south side of the lake. And we're going to zoom in here. It is massive. There's also Dwight D. Eisenhower Park just on the back side of it. But Dewson Park has a dog park. They have a disc golf course. They've got baseball fields. They've got pavilions that you can rent for parties. They have a public boat ramp back here that anyone can use, and just a ton of green space, playgrounds, walking trails. It is massive. One of my favorite parks. And while we're here, let's talk about the lake, because that's really one of the coolest things about living in this area is our proximity to the lake. So let me just remind you where Atasca Woods is located. Here we are right here. So here's the lake. And there are a lot of really cool things about the lake. So we have the parks that we talked about. There are a lot of neighborhoods along the lake that have homes on the lake, which is just beautiful. And then if you continue up north on West Lake Houston into Kingwood, there's some really neat restaurants and things here on the lake where you can sit outside and enjoy the lake, have some dinner, and just a lot even in this neighborhood, there's some benches and just a lot of opportunity to sit outside and enjoy the lake. Another thing that we're big on here in Atascocita is golf. So as you can see, we have a number of golf courses near us, and some of them are public and some of them are not. Walden on Lake Houston is the closest golf course to us. It is not public, but if you play a lot of golf, then a membership here would definitely be worth it to you, and you could just cross over in your golf cart and go and play. But as you can see, you've got a ton of options even on the east side of the lake and up in Kingwood and throughout Atascocita. Okay, now let's zoom out a bit and just see where we are in proximity to Houston. So here is Atascocita here. And if you were going to commute downtown, it would not be a bad commute at all. You would take a quick jog over on Will Clayton to 59 and down south into downtown. Not a bad drive at all. Now, if you were going to go over to the Galleria area, you could go around on the Beltway or around 610. You could even go down 59 and come over to the Galleria area. A bit more of a drive, but still not bad. Same with Medical Center. All right there, really, really accessible because of 59. So I love that. And then if you look at going north, you've got the Woodlands, which is probably about a 45-minute to 1 hour drive, depending on the day and time. And then if you were to continue north, you've got Conroe, which is about an hour and 20 minutes away. So it's really a great location. Even if you wanted to hop onto the Beltway, you could just come down and go south or west, northwest. So it's a really great location as far as getting around to different areas in the city. And speaking of the city, we can't go without saying that the city is so full of wonderful restaurants and tons of culture, fine arts galore. One of the other really cool things about living in this area is all of the lakes. Let me just show you a few of the lakes. Okay, so we talked about Lake Houston, which is just right in our backyard. But if you go north, not only do we have Lake Conroe. Okay, so here is Lake Conroe. This is probably the closest lake to us outside of Lake Houston. And then if you go a bit more north and northeast at that, then you've got Lake Livingston. This is a huge lake, a beautiful lake. And then if you continue to go north, then you've got Lake Sam Rayburn, also a beautiful lake. And then one more, Toledo Bend. So tons and tons of lakes and rivers, and not very far. An hour to get to Conroe, probably an hour to get to Livingston, and maybe 2 hours to get to Sam Rayburn. So really, really close, fun places to go and be outside. Okay, now let's take a look at some homes and some price ranges and talk about tax rates and all of those boring things. So this video, I am recording this in May of 2025. And as of right now, we have 12 houses on the market. Now, we have about 916 houses. So that's a little over 1% of our homes are on the market. And as you can see, they range in size and price. So let's see, we're starting on the low side at $265, and then we go all the way up to $449. So let's just take a really quick look at a few of these. I'm going to start with the one that is on the low end that's priced at $265. So this is a 3-bedroom house, 2.5 bath. This neighborhood was built in the early 2000s. So you'll see 2000, 2003, maybe 2005. So these homes are about 20 years old. And let's just take a look. So this one has 1,700 square feet. And let's just flip through the photos. So this home looks, yeah, this home has been updated beautifully. They've done the floors and countertops. Very pretty. Ooh, I love that tile. You know, the interesting thing about these homes, some homes have been updated and some have not. This one has, and it is very pretty. So that $265,000, and that could be yours. Now, let's take a look at one of the ones in the middle. Let's look at this one let's look at this one, because this is one of my favorite houses. I love the layout of this house. It's listed at $395. It's got 4 bedrooms, but it could function as a 5-bedroom. So there's an extra room that could be used as a bedroom. So we'll see what that's about. And then it has 3 full bathrooms, built in 2002. That's 3,016 square feet and a pretty big lot also. So let's take a look. These photos are a little bit blurry. But what I love about this house, the flooring is beautiful, and it's also been updated. And then it has this really cool room off of the living room that is an additional, not even a suite. It is a suite, but it has a living room as well. And look at those built-ins and the office. So this is a really cool, oh, that's pretty. This is a really cool space for someone who maybe has an elderly parent or, you know, something like that. Really pretty house. So $395. And then let's take a look at this one that is on the high end. They started at $460 and they dropped it down to $449. It's a 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath. And it's got 3,400 square feet. So let's have a look. Ooh, that tile is very pretty the way it was laid. Pretty kitchen. So all of these that we saw have been updated, but every once in a while you get one. Oh, that bathroom was beautiful. Every once in a while you get one that has not been updated yet. So there is some opportunity to find a home in this neighborhood and make it your own. Nice big yard. Okay. And then there are 3 houses that are pending right now, and then 5 that have sold in the last 6 months. And the reason why that is cool is because what that shows you is that people in this neighborhood buy and they stay. And so there are not a lot of homes on the market, and there's not a lot of turnover. And that tells you a lot about a neighborhood, because when people don't like it, they don't choose to stay. So that's really, really good data. The other thing that I want to point out, and this is fantastic, this is one of my favorite things about this neighborhood, is that first of all, your HOA dues are only $535 a year. And that is really inexpensive compared to some of the newer neighborhoods that have wonderful amenities, but you're going to be paying for those amenities. And so this one is a very reasonable HOA, and we have a pool and a park and sidewalks, and you know, I love that it is so reasonable. The other thing that I love about this neighborhood is our tax rate is very, very low in comparison with some of the newer neighborhoods. The reason for that is because a lot of the newer neighborhoods, they created a brand new mud district to support their water and sewer needs. And so everything has to be paid for at some point. And so those brand new mud districts are being paid for with taxes. And so what you'll see in some of those neighborhoods is tax rates up to 3.6. And here we are at, this is with a homestead exemption. So without a homestead exemption, I believe it's 2.3. But with a homestead exemption, you're looking at 2.16%, which is just one of the lowest I have seen. So that is a really, really fantastic perk. And what that means for you, every month you have four parts to your mortgage. You have your principal, which is the amount that you're financing, your interest, which should never change if you have a fixed rate. And then you have your taxes, which is based on that interest rate. So every year your tax value is going to go up, and that tax value is taxed at 2.16%. That's a big part of your monthly payment and goes into your escrow account. So the lower your taxes are, the lower your mortgage payment will be. And then last part of your mortgage payment is your insurance, which will possibly change yearly. But having a low tax rate is an amazing benefit because it can get very expensive the higher that our tax values go. Last thing I want to talk about is the schools. And I would encourage you to do your own research, go online, look at the ratings that matter to you. While my experience has been a fantastic one, it's just not enough data to give you information on the schools. But like I said, they are all very close. So here is Atasca Woods, and here's the elementary, and it is called Timbers Elementary. And then Atascocita Middle School is over here, and Atascocita High School is here. So do your research and look into the things that matter most to you. Thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to talking to you soon.